Howdy folks, I'm Ben Starr, the ultimate food geek. Welcome back to my messy kitchen. And today I am going to teach you how to make a fabulous pie crust in about 5 seconds. Now, pie crust is one of those things that people have extremely strong emotions about. So I guarantee you more than half of you that are watching this, as soon as I tell you that this crust is made with oil and not butter, are gonna have a miniature heart attack, die, say several cuss words, and then stop watching. And that's totally fine. Y'all can go back to doing your super unhealthy, overloaded with butter, gotta clean the food processor, which is the worst thing in the world, recipe, and that's totally fine. The rest of us will use this super quick, super healthy shortcut to a crust that is almost as delicious as a butter-based pie pastry and way the hell easier to make. We are starting with flour. Regular, unbleached, all-purpose flour is my flour of choice. You can use bleached flour. In a pinch, you can use cake flour. You could even use bread flour if you want to, but the texture is going to be a little bit heavier for that crust. So we are looking at 6.7 ounces of flour. I actually learned to make this recipe, though, measuring by volume, and that is 1 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, salt. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt or half a teaspoon of table salt. And I don't actually measure that because I'm pretty good at getting it with my palm. Next, sugar. If you are making this crust for a sweet pie, then you're going to add sugar, about 2 tablespoons worth. But this recipe is equally at home making a savory crust for a quiche. Omit that sugar and instead add some garlic powder, about a teaspoonful, onion powder, about a teaspoonful, and some dried Italian seasoning, dried oregano, dried basil, that sort of thing. You can even add some red pepper flakes if you want. Stir that around, and that's gonna make a spectacular quiche crust.
This is a reminder. Take the lid off the bread.
Take the lid off the bread. Alexa's always nagging me. Alexa, remind me in 15 minutes to pull the bread out of the oven.
Okay, I'll remind you.
She is a constant nag. All right, we've got our dry ingredients ready to go here. Next comes the oil. Now, if you're making a sweet crust for a pie, you want to use a neutral flavored oil. Here I'm using grapeseed oil. You can use canola, or you can use an oil that has a flavor that's complementary for the type of pie that you're baking. You could use walnut oil. That would be absolutely delicious. Now, we're going to use 2.5 ounces of this oil, or 1/3 of a cup if you're measuring by volume. Now, if you're making a savory crust for a quiche, you're going to want to use a nice boldly flavored oil. My favorite is extra virgin olive oil. But here again, any of the nut oils that have a prominent flavor like walnut oil would also be delicious. Final ingredient, buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk in your refrigerator, I hate you. Go out and buy buttermilk right now and put it in your refrigerator. You only have to buy buttermilk once in your lifetime. Because when you get low on buttermilk, you can refill the container with some nice grass-fed organic milk, leave it out on your countertop for 24 hours until it thickens, and you've got a new batch of delicious organic buttermilk that would normally cost you 10 or 15 bucks if you can even find organic grass-fed buttermilk. So buttermilk is a super important ingredient. I use mine literally every day in the kitchen for a variety of applications from sweet to savory. So hopefully I've convinced you by now. Go out and get yourself some buttermilk. Now, if you don't have buttermilk, you can actually use regular milk in this recipe, and you're going to use 2.3 ounces, or 3 generous tablespoons. And by generous tablespoons, I mean you're going to pour your buttermilk or milk into the tablespoon until it begins to overflow, dump it, and that is 1. But I am doing by measurement because it is easier and faster and makes less dishes for me to have to wash at the end of the day. All right, 2.3 ounces of buttermilk. Now, we're going to take a regular fork. We're going to stir around the buttermilk and the oil together to kind of begin to emulsify those. And then we're going to start dragging the flour into the buttermilk and oil. Once that happens, we can start to do a little bit of stirring, alternating with the dragging technique until most or all of our flour has disappeared into the matrix. Disappeared into the matrix. All right, and you can finish this process with your hands here. But you want to treat it gently. You don't want to overwork that flour and start to overdevelop the gluten, or you'll have a crust that's tough and chewy and shattery, and that's not what you want. All right, once you've got all of those together, you're going to do a couple of gentle folds. Now, this is not kneading. If you try to knead this, you're going to end up with a crust that's got such great development of gluten that it will shrink right up in your pan, all right? So what you're going to do is very carefully take that crust and fold it in half and then just gently press down on it. And then you're going to do the exact same thing again, fold it over in half and push down gently on it. And then we're going to do it a third time. Fold it over once and push down gently on it. Not only is this forming some layers that will help us sort of imitate that butter pastry, but it's also giving it enough gluten development to be able to hold together properly as you roll it out. All right, speaking of rolling out, it's time. Generously flour your work surface. You can't have too much flour in this particular instance. Transfer your crust right there to the surface, and then you'll have a much better time if you will sort of work your crust dough into a nice, relatively even circle. That will help you roll it out into an even circle, which will help you when you transfer it to the pie plate. Again, you don't want to be super tough with this dough. You want to treat it sort of gently. Okay, now what I'm going to do, since I've used up some of that flour, is reflour my board, turn it upside down, give a nice flouring to the bottom of that dough, turn it back over to the top, and flour it as well. We definitely don't want it sticking to the work surface at this point. Now, rolling pin. And if you're like me and you end up being called upon to bake a pie at the house of a friend that doesn't really bake, so they don't have a rolling pin, you can use a wine bottle in a pinch, but a regular, just dowel rod rolling pin like this is the best thing to use. Now you're going to roll it out gently. Don't be mean to it. Treat it nice and sweet and gentle. Rolling this way and that, regularly picking it back up off the board and rotating it just to make sure you're not sticking to the surface. Try to maintain uniformity as you're rolling it out. But again, don't press down crazy hard because that is going to contribute to a tough crust. The tougher you treat your crust, the tougher the crust will be in your mouth hole when you eat it. So, be nice and gentle. And as you're rolling out, you can always take your pie plate and set it on top to make sure that you are large enough to cover the full surface area of your pie plate. And make sure you've got extra on the outside circumference of your crust because you've got to accommodate for that lip, of course, and you also want to have enough crust left over around the edge to make a nice fluted, pretty decorative edge. All right. Now it's time for the transfer. This is the hardest part of all. And there is a cheap, inexpensive kitchen tool that will make your life so much easier, both for cleaning up after doing something like this, as well as the transfer. But I forgot to put it in the frame, so hang on a second. Bench scraper. You can pick up a cheap one of these for $2 or $3, and it is absolutely worth those $2 or $3. It will help you make sure that your crust is detached from the surface without tearing it. So you can work that bench scraper up underneath it. If you don't have one of these and you're watching this video just before you're about to make your crust, you can just use your fingers to slowly pull the crust back, but there is always a chance that you'll tear that crust. It's very delicate if you have not overworked it. So we folded it in half here. Now we're going to fold it again over into a 1/4 size. We're going to take our pie plate here, delicately transfer that crust over into the pie plate, and open it up carefully. All right, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of recentering. And if things have kind of gone all to shit over here, don't worry, you'll be able to fix it. All right. So we're looking pretty good here. We're missing some over on this edge, but we can hopefully transfer some from this far edge over onto that edge. Press it right down there. And anywhere you have a lot extra, you can fill out sections that don't have quite enough. Just like that. All right. Now, to make a really pretty fluted edge like your grandma used to do, you're going to work around the full circumference of the pie plate and just tuck the extra little edges of crust underneath. And if you run into a spot that's got too much where it would be thick, you just pull that off to the side. You'll probably find a place for it later. Again, when you're working with the crust, you want to treat it fairly gently. Don't be all mean and beat it up. Add a little bit of that extra crust there. And again, a pie should not be so pretty that you don't want to eat it, right? A pie is a beautiful rustic thing. It's something our grandmothers made for us in their very humble kitchens. So don't get too anal about making sure that this is perfect. It's going to look really, really nice by the time we're done with it. All right, to get that beautiful flute, you're going to use your thumb and index finger on your non-dominant hand, your index finger of your dominant hand, and just work your way around the edge gently, again, pushing both hands together to create that lovely flute. At this point, if you are baking a pie where the crust bakes alongside the filling, like a fruit pie, an apple pie, or a peach pie, or something like that, you can go ahead and fill the pie. If you're making a pie that requires 2 crusts, you can kind of double up the recipe, divide it in half, but I prefer, since it's so easy and quick to make, to just make a separate crust for the top, whether you're going to do a lattice work on the top or a full crust with just some slits in it. But if you're blind baking your crust to make like a cream pie or a fresh berry pie or something like that where the crust needs to be baked before you fill it, next thing that you're going to do is called docking. You're just going to take your fork like that and poke all the way around, lots and lots of holes. What this does is allows the steam that builds up between the crust and the pie plate to escape rather than puffing your pie up like a big balloon from the bottom of the pie plate, which is definitely something you don't want to happen. Lots and lots of nice docking holes there for the steam to escape. Go around the edge as well because steam can definitely build up there. And then this crust is going to go into the oven to blind bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 12 minutes until you start to see a little bit of golden color develop along the edge of those flutes. Remind me in 12 minutes to check the pie crust.
Okay, I'll remind you in 12 minutes.
She's the best. The other benefit of these bench scrapers is that it makes it super easy to clean up afterwards. Look at this. I'm telling you, if you don't have one of these, you need one. 12 minutes later, we have a beautifully golden pie crust that literally took us less than 5 minutes to put together and roll out. It's ready for filling. Now, if you're using this technique for a quiche crust, I do recommend you par bake for 5 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit just to set that crust over before you empty the beautiful egg custard filling into your quiche and chunk it back into the oven to continue baking at the recommended time and temperature based on your recipe. That will definitely help keep you from having a soggy crust at the bottom of your quiche. But look at that, folks. Now, I know that you can't taste this through the YouTube screen, but this crust is delicious. It's light and crumbly and flaky, far less heavy and overly greasy than a lot of the butter crust recipes that you get. And it took 5 minutes for us to make with a bowl and a spoon and a scale. Shortcuts like this allow me to make a chocolate meringue pie start to finish, crust to meringue, in less time than it would take for me to just make a butter pie pastry. I'm serious, folks. Think about it. When you make a butter pastry, you gotta make it first, then you gotta clean everything up while it chills in the fridge to set up so that that butter doesn't get too incorporated into the crust as you roll it out. Then you gotta form it, put it in the pie plate, put it back in the fridge to chill before you can fill it. Come on! Do you think anybody is gonna miss the butter pastry in this beautiful son of a bitch? I don't think so. You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed this neat little shortcut of mine. I used it at my restaurant for over 7.5 years. No one was the wiser. For more kitchen science, awesome hacks, and cool shit from the ultimate food geek, check me out on my website, benstarr.com. Hit me up on Facebook at @TheBenStarr and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great night.